Hello and welcome to the Swinging Bunt Podcast Season 4. That's right. We are now on our 4th year of the Swinging Bunt. Jake and James, the original hosts, still here. We no longer have Jack, of course. He only made it through the first season. But we brought on a great new cast of characters, including Mitch Allen, Mac Allen, two guys that bring some comedic, what's it called? Comic relief. And some great sports knowledge, especially around football. From Mitch brings in some good a good aspect, some good perspective, and Mac really brings in great talk with the basketball. And we also have CJ with the football and basketball talk as well. There's not much going on in the world of baseball right now, so we will leave that off our episode, which is our flagship sport. But we are in football season right now, and the playoffs are about to begin. This episode is being recorded on January 12th of 2022. We can put the awful year of 21 behind us and move forward into a great new season of the Swinging Bunt. What you can expect from us this season is a little bit more of a presence on YouTube. We're going to try to put out some more videos other than just our weekly episode. If we can get some smaller videos out there for you guys to digest in a little shorter time period, that's our goal. We're still working on what that will look like as far as how often they'll be scheduled, who will be doing them, and what that's going to look like exactly. But that's our plans going forward, as well as fixing up our current issues that we've been having with our publisher. So we're really appreciative of you guys being here and listening or watching us on YouTube. And we're really excited for another season and hopefully continue to grow the show and to bring you guys great content. With that being said, this is the Swinging Bunt Podcast. Enjoy the show. All right, guys. I've made plans. I've been writing up some documents and outlines and stuff. You guys don't have much in the decision-making part of things. So
keep that in the show.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for your patience. It has been a long time. Season 3 of the show did not end the way we would have desired. Mitch, myself, and James all have been coaching basketball, and we were really picking up steam there with the football season and had our great contest going on with draft picks and everything. And we're going to look back at that and just talk about some of the predictions that we made in the season, how they unfolded, who was right, who was wrong. I always enjoy doing that, but we do apologize. We kind of went dark without telling anybody. It just was very hard to find a time to get podcasts published, and we'll try to be better about that this year. That being said, James has put up an outline for us today of how we're going to dive into wrapping up the NFL season and moving forward into the playoffs. James, go ahead and take it away. So what do you have planned for us today?
All right, well, today we're going to really talk about, we're not going to get into power rankings. We thought about doing power rankings, but I feel like it takes too long and we end up arguing half the time anyways.
which is fun.
So I think we're just going to go through the playoffs, who we think is going to win each round. And then we're going to talk about awards, who we think is going to win the awards, because no awards have come out yet. So MVP, offensive player, defensive player, rookie of the year, coach of the year, and then comeback player of the year, which I didn't put that in there, just so you know. Comeback player is added in there. And then we'll just discuss some football. I mean, what we saw this season, from underrated players to overrated players to underrated teams to overrated teams. And then we have 18 weeks this year, so it's a little different. Yeah, Jake, take it away. I'm gonna fix that.
All right, so let's just dive in. Start off with the biggest award first. This season brought in lots of highs and lows, but we didn't really have the dominant performance that we usually would see out of an MVP. So there's a lot of discussion out there. There are definitely some favorites. I want to know what you guys think. Who's your person that you pick as an MVP this season? If you're not really familiar with who you would pick, that's fine. Just say what guys you have in mind, and we'll just discuss it out there. Mitch, I'll start with you. Who do you have as your favorite for MVP, or at least not who you think will get it, but who you would give it to? I think that's a better way to approach it.
I think there's a lot of really, really good candidates. But Justin Herbert, I'm just kidding.
I was about to throw something.
I really think Aaron Rodgers probably has the best case right now. And I know it's kind of cliche to give it to a quarterback. It's really hard to overlook Cooper Kupp's amazing season that he had at wide receiver.
It is.
But I think he's in line pretty clear cut for a different award. I think Aaron Rodgers has really had 2 fantastic seasons. Maybe not as glamorous as last year, but it's hard to say that another player has had a much better season. And I know a lot of people don't like Aaron Rodgers, but your feelings about him or not, it's really hard to deny his statistics and his on-field work.
Yeah, I saw one of the voters is not going to vote for Aaron Rodgers because he
He's a
doesn't
jerk.
like him and he's a jerk. And
There's like
the whole COVID thing.
several.
Yeah, I don't know. Go ahead, Mitch.
I've heard there's a lot of people that are kind of like, he shouldn't get it because of his off-field antics, so to speak. And I kind of think that's ridiculous. If you want to make this a political world, then call it the most political appeasing player, but it's the most valuable player. And Aaron Rodgers is, in my opinion, I think he's got one of the best cases for MVP. There's other people that have good cases, but I think he's probably the favorite to win it.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, CJ, who do you got?
I think their case got a lot weaker this week, but going in, and someone who I think deserves a mention is Jonathan Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way he kind of carried the Colts off Carson Wentz throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
If they had made the playoffs, I think he'd have a really strong case, but especially from the running back position, because very few guys can have that kind of impact on a team from that position.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if Derrick Henry had not gotten injured, he would have been the first running back we'd see win the MVP in a long time. And Jonathan Taylor kind of picked up right where Derrick Henry left off. It was like Henry was doing this amazing thing all season and Taylor was kind of good. He wasn't off. He wasn't great. I mean, he was really, really, really good, but not the level that we saw once Henry stepped down and Taylor took the mantle. But yeah, I mean, that's who you would pick, but you don't think it's going to happen?
I don't know if it's who I would pick anymore. I think at the very least, though, it's worth a mention. He should be on the list.
Yeah, it definitely should be. And this is just why I think if you're talking about who is the most valuable player to the team or to their league, that's why it doesn't go to running backs very often, because a running back can be amazing and so good. But if you don't have a good quarterback, you cannot win games. It's just very hard to do. And you see that when they played the Jags and Carson Wentz had a bad game, Taylor was not valuable enough to carry them to a win anyways. You know what I mean? Because you can stop any great running back when they can't pass the ball. It's true. And I think most of the time, I think that that's the case of what happened with Taylor. And it kind of showed, like you said, in that last week, that even though he's amazing, if your quarterback sucks, you can't lead your team to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Jake, so it looks like somebody photoshopped your eyebrows onto your lip.
They just took my mustache and went here and split it in half and actually put it in place of my eyebrows.
That's what it looks like. Okay, sorry. Keep going.
No, I think that you bring up a really good point, CJ, that if we were to what, Mac?
I thought you were talking about a really good point about the mustache.
Oh, no, that too. If we were to take into account not what they did for their team as far as leading them to a championship or to playoffs, I think Taylor would have a much stronger case. Mac, who you got?
I was going to say Jonathan Taylor. Somebody who I think is in the discussion, just to bring another name into the mix, I would say Deebo Samuel, just for his receiving and rushing and throwing touchdown that he had last week.
No, I mean, he was the most dynamic player we've seen this year. There was no one more explosive on the field that you just never knew what he was going to do, except just be amazing. So I understand that. I probably wouldn't put him as high just because while he was great, I don't think he was best player in the league great, but I understand where you're coming from. James?
Right. I was just leaving those other names for other people to take.
Oh, sure.
So, I mean, you got to look at for MVP. It's the person, if you take them off the team, who will struggle the most. And I think the clear answer is Aaron Rodgers. I think Tom Brady's up there too, even though their team's pretty good. I know he's technically second right now in the betting odds. But I was going to say also, I thought Jonathan Taylor was probably so important to his team to get where they got. And then, he didn't make the playoffs, so that killed that. I think an under the radar guy who's not even going to be mentioned at all, but I think was 100% key to their success was actually from Baltimore, was Mark Andrews. No one ever talks about him, but he carried that team on his back the last 5 or 6 weeks of the season. And I think if you took Mark Andrews off, they don't even have probably 6 wins. What do they have? 8 wins? Something like that. Something not terrible. Yeah, I'm looking right at it, actually.
They would drop a few for sure.
They had 8 wins. I don't think they would have even had 5 wins if it wasn't for him. But like I said, that's just a dark horse. I still think Aaron Rodgers win, and I think Aaron Rodgers deserves it.
Yeah, I think Rodgers, he for sure is the favorite. But I could definitely see it going to Tom Brady. I don't think that it's a lock one way or the other, because when you actually compare the stats, Tom Brady leads every single quarterback stat: most completions, most yards per game, and most touchdowns. The only thing that Rodgers has over him, he also has the highest completion percentage. The only thing Rodgers has over him is Brady had 12 interceptions compared to Rodgers 4. And Rodgers is great. I mean, he does not throw picks. It's always been a lot of people that argue that Rodgers is better than Brady is that he just does not throw picks. But both cases, I don't know that I can really pick one or the other. I mean, even just in my mind right now, trying to pick Rodgers over Brady, it's that close. So I will not be surprised if it goes to either one of them. I would probably tip it to Brady. I do love Brady. Everyone knows that. But when you do look at it, at the weapons that he's done this year, much of the year he had no Brown and no Mike Evans. And then he also had a game with no Brown, Mike Evans, or Chris Godwin and won it. They've had some stinker games for sure, but what he's done with those guys, and then I know Leonard Fournette played pretty well when he was here, but I don't think that he would do that with a lot of teams. You know what I mean? So I think he's done a lot, and I think he's done really well. And granted, Aaron Rodgers has Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon. Those three are solid. Outside of that, it's not much. So I think they're both coming from a pretty similar perspective. So it could go to either one of those two. I pretty much have like a 1A and 1B. Either one of them, I'd probably give them each a half vote if I could. So I'll go Brady because a little bit of bias there. That's our MVP picks. I think that was,
I like that.
I think it went pretty well. All right, James, next up on the list, you have
Offensive
player of the year. I'll start this one and then we'll work backwards. James, you can go next. To me, it comes down to two guys, really three. I can look at, I won't argue about all three of them. I'll give you guys a chance. I'll just state my case for my guy. I think Cooper Kupp is the leader for me. I mean, he was just dynamic every single game, almost a lock for 100 yards and a touchdown. It's absolutely crazy. When you look at Cooper Kupp's stat line this year, let me pull it up. He did break the record for the most yards by a receiver, correct?
No, he did not.
No, how close did he get?
10, 12,
10,
or
wow.
14, something
An
like that. It
extra
was pretty
game, but that's
close.
not my business.
145 receptions, 1,947 yards, and 16 touchdowns in 17 games. That is absolutely bonkers. I mean, just crazy. I don't think we've seen a better fantasy season since Antonio Brown. Am I right?
I would say Calvin Johnson.
I
don't think Antonio Brown was as good.
No, Antonio Brown has 2 of the top 5 performances.
Brown had 2 years where he absolutely just dominated.
Two of the top 5 fantasy football seasons ever. Calvin Johnson does not have one of the top. Actually, he might have one of the top 5, I believe. I know Brown has 2, and then what's his name? Jerry Rice has 2, and then I can't remember who the 5th one is too. But anyways, Cooper Kupp just dominated. There's other guys I could see getting this award as well, but my vote goes Cooper Kupp. James?
I think it's a 2-man race, and this is basically the best award for non-quarterbacks because quarterbacks usually get MVP. It's like basically created this for that reason. And if you look at, it's between Cooper Kupp and Jonathan Taylor, and if you look at both of them, they both got the triple crown for football: receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns, and then rushes, rush yards, and rush touchdowns. So they both got it. So I give the edge to Cooper Kupp, obviously, because they had a better season. But I wouldn't be surprised if they gave it to Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, and they're both so dependable. Neither of them missed a game.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And Kupp coming off of an ACL tear as well. Or was that 2 years ago? That was 2 years ago.
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah. Mitch?
I would say Cooper Kupp has been just absolutely dominating. Like I said, triple crown, really like that. Mac will probably bring up Deebo Samuel again, and his name's already been brought up. He's been very explosive offensively, definitely. It's really hard to match Cooper Kupp. The other name I want to throw out there that I think kind of actually flew a little under the radar was Austin Eckler.
He did.
He was very good in everything he did this year. He had no fumbles. He was one of 6 players with 150 carries and no fumbles.
Which was something that had been brought up earlier in his career.
That's a pretty cherry pick stat. I just want to throw his name out there. I don't think he's going to get it. I think it's clearly Cooper Kupp.
Yeah. I guess we'll wait to talk about Deebo Samuel. Let's see. Who would be next here? Mac, correct?
Yeah, I'll probably agree with Jonathan Taylor. I think the what was it, a 5 touchdown game for him?
He did have a 5 touchdown game.
Kind of solidified that for me.
Yeah, that was crazy. Any other thing else you want to add to that?
I don't think so.
James?
The number 1 fantasy season ever, it was Randy Moss.
Randy Moss, thank you.
When he was playing for New England.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
sorry.
Carl Jones Jenkins, offensive player of the year.
I actually do like Debo for this, so
Mhm.
I'll talk about him.
Sure.
We brought it up earlier, but I think he was their team's offensive identity. Like
He was
Jimmy
the
Garoppolo.
offense.
Jimmy Garoppolo isn't a lights out quarterback. He had Elijah Mitchell hurt most of the year. George Kittle missed parts of the year. Brandon Ayuk was super inconsistent. And so Debo was involved in every facet of the game, even passing in the last one. So I think his total involvement in that offense was like, and it got them to the playoffs. I think even though he doesn't quite have the eye-popping stats that Cooper Kupp did, his value to San Francisco's offense was unmatched.
That offense would not run without him. Even
me just
as
say
great as
that-
George Kittle is.
Jimmy Garoppolo is not even a lights on quarterback.
Hey, y'all hate him
No,
so
Debo
much.
was great. I mean, I don't think that he can match up close to Cup. He had less than half the catches as Cooper Kupp and 500, almost 600 fewer yards. However, he did run, but let's see here if I can find his rushing stats. That's his game. I need to look at his career rushing log.
Wow, this is great radio.
For 60 rushes for 365 yards, but it did add 8 more touchdowns. So he had 14 total touchdowns and near the same yardage as Cooper Kupp when you combine the two. So I guess if you combine the rushing and the receiving, they are pretty close to each other. So it's a closer race than I would have thought before looking at the stats. All
I
right.
have a question.
Yeah, Smack.
Do linemen ever win this award?
Never.
Ever, ever.
Do they ever win any award?
They win Lineman of the
Nope.
Year award.
Oh, okay.
There's
Although-
an award. I forget what it's called.
Eloy,
This would be the
Quick
year
question.
that if there was okay.
friend.
Sorry, I'm at school and somebody just started playing the radio over the intercom. Can you guys hear that?
No.
No.
Okay, great.
Okay, go ahead, James.
This would be the year. It's not going to happen, but if there was a rookie lineman to win it, it would be Rookie of the Year because that
Yes.
guy, he's the best center in all football, and he's a rookie.
Yeah. What was it?
Who is
The
it?
one
We'll get
on
there.
the one on
I don't remember who he plays for, but we'll get there when we get to Rookie of the Year. I'll look it
Okay.
up before then.
Defensive Player of the Year. This is going to be, maybe we don't have as much info on it. There's a few guys that really can go into the discussion, and I don't know that it's a clear runaway, but let's discuss it. Mitch, you can go ahead and start us off.
I mostly want to start off by saying it cannot be Trevon Diggs. It can't. And there's a lot of people that love Diggs and he's got eye-popping interception numbers, but it cannot be him because he sucks in a lot of other categories. I will say, I think Micah Parsons has a pretty good shot at it.
Yeah. Trayvon Diggs had some of the flashiest plays, and he had some of the biggest moments, but he allowed way too many yards. I mean, when there's corners like all over the league that you see games where, like JC Jackson, for instance, in 8 of the Patriots' last 9 games, he's allowed fewer than 20 yards passing against him. Trayvon Diggs has allowed several 80-yard plays. And it's like,
Yeah.
How can you be the best defensive player in the year when you get burnt so much? He's aggressive. I give him that. He makes some great reads on the ball, but he doesn't stick with coverage long enough to stop those big plays. So I agree. Trayvon Diggs can't win this award. CJ, we'll go with you next.
I don't know a lot about this category. The 2 names that I've heard the most are Micah Parsons and TJ Watt. So
Yeah.
I think they're contenders, but I couldn't tell you why.
Sure. James.
I think it's between 3 people, but I don't think you cannot give it to TJ Watt. I mean, he tied the record, and they're reviewing his last play, and they may give him a sack, so he may break the all-time record in 15 games. He didn't even play a full season, so he did it in less games than he could have, and he still tied the record. Also, Michael Parsons, and then the guy from Cleveland,
Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
Was in there too.
TJ Watt, 22.5 sacks, 48 solo tackles, and 5 forced fumbles. That's an insane stat line.
Wow.
The guy has a nose just to get to wherever the ball is and punch it out. He finds the quarterback like a monster, man. It's insane.
Yes.
Did I ever tell you guys I knew a girl that dated him when they were in college?
In high school? Oh, sorry.
College. Yep. And
Did you get tickets to a game from them?
I did not. My pick goes to Micah Parsons. Just because I think he's going to be one of the first guys to get Defensive Player of the Rookie of the Year. I'm tipping my pick there, as well as Defensive Player of the Year. He did have 10 fewer sacks but he had 20 more tackles and many tackles for loss and 3 forced fumbles, as well as more interceptions than TJ Watt. Let me see what his interceptions were again. Never mind. I take that back. He had 0 interceptions. I could have swore he had.
Idiot.
Not. But my vote goes to Micah Parsons. He made a huge impact on that team. And I think that a big part of the reason the Cowboys did so well this year, which was much better than the Steelers, that's where my tipping point is. Without Parsons in that defense, they had no defense. I mean, I know Diggs had the picks, but besides that, their defense is bad. And he was able to force the rest of the defense around him to be better. Now, the Steelers still had a solid defense, but they had some games where they really got.
They led the league in sacks.
Yeah.
As a
Well, I
team.
mean, he had 22 and a half alone. So I
Which is
will
more
not.
than Atlanta, but
Yeah, I will not argue that Watt is not deserving of the award. I just think that Parsons had more of an impact on a team to help them win, whereas the Steelers didn't really get that.
let me ask you a question, Jake.
Yes,
Who's going to score more points, Dallas's offense or Pittsburgh's offense?
Dallas's offense.
Okay. Who has better players on offense?
Dallas is a defensive award, though.
Okay, let me finish. So the only way Pittsburgh is going to win, the defense plays, because Ben Roethlisberger he was like Peyton Manning in his last season.
It was bad.
Yeah,
it's bad.
So that's why I gave the edge to TJ Watt, because the defense is the one that carried that team, and he was the main person carrying that defense.
I do understand that, and I'm not going to argue with it. I 100% agree. Just the team's performance, I feel like he did help them get a more favorable outcome. Not that if they switched teams, I probably would have given it to Watt, I suppose. So I don't know. Maybe my logic is messed up there, but just I did watch more Cowboys games than I did Steelers games. So that might have some impact on it as well. I just saw Parsons making the plays, so my mind just has seen that more. But that's where my vote is. Did I miss anybody?
Yeah.
Mac, what's up?
I'd probably say TJ Watt as well. But I watched a lot of Bengals games, and I really don't know a lot about NFL defense. But Eli Apple had a pretty good season. I don't really know if cornerbacks get this award, but
They have.
I just like to mention him.
Stephon Gilmore was the last cornerback to get one. Let's see. Let me see Eli Apple's stats. I'm not
probably been a couple over the last.
He's probably
15
above
years.
average.
Yeah, he had 2 interceptions, returned for 50 yards. Let's see what his passer rating.
I think he picked a name out and just went with it.
No,
This is like Mitch and Buda Baker.
And Buda Baker's good.
Buda Baker's amazing.
So the completion percentage against him was 60.3%, which is kind of high. So I don't think it's going to go to Eli Apple.
Do me a huge favor. While we're on
Who's
this
the dark
topic,
horse?
look up AJ
Yeah.
Terrell stats.
AJ Terrell.
Yeah, look up his stats.
Yep. Second year in the season, 16 games played, 3 interceptions, returned for 42 yards. On the year, let's see, he has 3 interceptions, longest of 35, 16 pass deflections, passes defended, a forced fumble, 1 sack, 81 or 52 solo tackles, 3 tackles for loss. Let's see if I can find his completion percentage against here. Yeah, right here. 50%. That's not bad. That's considered good.
He had 8 games that he didn't give up over 10 yards in coverage.
Wow. It's impressive.
Wow.
Just another fun bit, because Atlanta's never had a defender that was good, so this is new for me.
Yeah. No, he only gave up 417 total yards in the season. Someone that I think does deserve to be mentioned is JC Jackson. He's not going to get it being a cornerback and just with the seasons Micah Parsons and what's his name? TJ Watt had. But JC Jackson on the season played all 17 games, had 8 interceptions, and only totaled in 92 yards allowed. He played against Keenan Allen, many great AJ Brown, great receivers. He played against Stephon Diggs twice, and on total in the entire season only allowed 92 yards. So I mean, that's just absolutely insane. His completion percentage against this year was, and they barely threw to him, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little higher than we might expect. But he barely got thrown against. Let's see. Here it is. 49% as well. So he only had 106 passes attempted against him and 52 completed and 8 intercepted. He also had 3 pick sixes. So, or no,
He
I'm
had
sorry.
2 in one game, though.
No, I'm sorry. Not 3 pick sixes. I
Or 1 in one
apologize.
game.
He had 1 pick 6 and 8 interceptions. So yeah, great season for him. No, it is. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, 3 pick sixes, So he scored on defense more than the people on offense scored against him. He only allowed 1 touchdown and he scored 3 times. Pretty impressive. So I think he will definitely get some votes. I think everyone we mentioned is going to be the top guys that get votes. Well, the way they vote is they vote first, second, and third. So he might get some third place votes. I doubt he gets any first place votes. But yeah, that was actually a much more interesting conversation than I expected. That was a good one. All right. Offensive rookie of the year.
This is the one that's going to be interesting.
Yeah. So let's just do offensive and defensive in your same part. You get what I'm saying? So James, go ahead. Who's your offensive?
Can we just all say Micah Parsons for defense?
I think offensive is a lock
Defensive.
too. Yeah.
I don't think it is. Oh, I think it is.
Yeah,
I don't think.
I
I don't
agree.
know. We agree.
We agree.
I agree.
Okay. Micah Parsons is a
talking
lock.
about?
Let's just agree on that. We've Doven. We've discussed Micah Parsons plenty. He's winning defensive rookie of the year. Now the debate comes down to Jamar Chase and Mac Jones. I say Jamar Chase, and I love Mac Jones. But I think the reason Mac Jones has succeeded so well this year is they haven't asked him to do too much. They've won by running the ball, and he has not made mistakes to lose the game, which is awesome. That's exactly what you want a rookie quarterback to do. I don't want my rookie QB to come out here and just sling the ball and throw interceptions and get shot down like Zach Wilson. And so many young rookies have before him. I think he has a great season. He may win the award because he's a quarterback that led his team to the playoffs. But Jamar Chase, oh my gosh. We thought Justin Jefferson had a great year last year. Jamar Chase was the number 2 wide receiver on the year.
4.
Number 4. I mean, it was just absolutely insane. I agree, James. Jamar Chase is my vote as well. CJ, Mac, Mitch, what do you guys say?
I think Najee should be
know who
mentioned, but Jamar Chase gets my vote.
Yeah, Najee had a great year. He'll be in the top 3 for sure. But he just had a lot of volume. His yards per carry was actually pretty low. He just was handing the ball so much.
That's
CJ?
just how Pittsburgh does it.
I was gonna say I don't know how you could pick anybody but Jamar Chase, honestly.
Mitch, you said
Yeah, sorry. I just went into Piggly Wiggly and did some shopping. I would say it's Jamar Chase. Sorry. I really don't think Mac Jones has a shot. If you look at what rookie of the year is supposed to be doing, and somebody who's like really contributing, look at all these awards. They were a difference maker on their team. And I don't think that Mac Jones was a difference maker. I don't think he did anything that any other rookie quarterback could have done with Bill Belichick in that system, which I think would maybe lead just possibly to an award for Bill Belichick. But you look at last year's rookie of the year as Justin Herbert, and you compare his stats from last year to Mac Jones from this year, and those are 2 very, very different seasons. I'd have a hard time seeing Mac Jones get rookie of the year with Jamar Chase. I mean, even if, let's say you have Justin Jefferson's season instead of Jamar Chase's, I think Jefferson would get it over Mac Jones if Jefferson was a rookie.
Yeah.
I think Jamar Chase.
Go ahead. Okay, yeah.
I think Jamar Chase, yeah.
The one counterpoint to that is that the Patriots intentionally did not have him pass the ball a ton. I mean, there were games that he had like 6 pass attempts going into the half and they're winning. So he didn't have to do a lot. Whereas compared to Herbert with the awful defense they had, he had to throw 50 times a game. So his stats are obviously going to be higher. And Mac Jones is insanely efficient. I mean, he was so accurate. He was the pass completion percentage leader for much of the season, which is an impressive thing to do. Especially considering the talent he has around him. I mean, the receivers, there's not one player on that team like, dang, that guy's a stud. You know what I mean? Not one. On offense. I mean, Damian Harris had a great year. But he's an average running back. Ramondre Stevenson had a decent year, but he's a below average running back as a rookie right now. He could turn into something else. The receivers they have are all bad. I mean, they're all bad. They played fine. Elijah Mitchell's on the Jets. I will say Hunter Henry stepped up big, especially near the end of the year. Hunter Henry and Kendrick Bourne stepped up, but I do think that people aren't giving Jones the credit that he does deserve for doing so much with so little. But having Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels as coaches definitely helped them.
I think Jones does receive credit. I do not think he has anywhere close to a shot of a rookie of the year credit, but he does receive credit. He's been very efficient as a quarterback, as a rookie.
I agree that I would vote for Jamar Chase. I think that you are not seeing that the voters are going to pick Mac Jones much more than you think. I think it's going to be a pretty close race when the voting actually finishes up, just because they always pick quarterbacks, and he did have a good year. However, did you guys know Jamar Chase while he was 500 yards shy of Cooper Kupp, which is not much when you consider how much Kupp had with 1900. He had 1,455 yards and 13 touchdowns with only 81 catches. The guy was a big play threat. I mean, it was insane. He got the ball and you're like, this could be a 60-yard touchdown. It's just nuts. How much do you think that connection between him and Joe Burrow affected their performance on the field?
Well, obviously, it's when you trust the most.
Yeah, obviously a lot.
Yeah, it was interesting because it's not like T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd were slouches before, but I mean, he just didn't care. Chase could be covered and he just chucked it up. It was insane to see. And T. Higgins, arguably, for much of the season, until the last few weeks, he was probably having a more consistent season. He didn't have as many of the big games like Chase had, but Higgins had he was a really consistent receiver. So, all right. Good talks, guys. Good talks. All right, let's go ahead and move into our coach of the year. This is going to be an interesting discussion.
This is a really hard one, actually.
Yeah, I don't really know where I lean on this. James, go ahead and lead us off.
Well, I mean, it's going to seem very biased, but I really do think that Mac Vrabel should win it because he didn't have Derrick Henry. Tannehill's, he's average. A.J. Brown was out for half the season. Julio Jones was out half the season, and yet they're the number one seed in all of the AFC. So that's why I think he should win. But I would like to mention, obviously, I think Mike Tomlin, what he did over there for how bad that team had been playing to turn them around. And I think of this quote every time, like Mike Tomlin wins the award for the best coach of the decade because he had to deal with Antonio Brown for so many years. Just how good he is with people and what he can make out of the talent he has. I think he should get mentioned. But also the Raiders coach, whoever the heck this guy is, that franchise was in complete dumpster fire, and he turned them around and got them in the playoffs as a 5 seed, which is nuts.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys that come into this conversation, and you can kind of see an argument for all of them. Like Zach Taylor, who people were saying he was an awful hire last year. Now he gets the second year of Joe Burrow, decides not to draft a lineman like everyone was saying he should to protect their star quarterback, gets a receiver instead, and takes his team to the playoffs as the hottest team in football. He deserves some mention. Matt LaFleur is 39-9. Yeah, 39-9 as a Packers coach. That's absolutely nuts. Now you can't combine all 3 years into the award, but taking a team to 13-3 to be the number one seed after all the drama that happened in the offseason to bring that team together still to perform the way they did. They dominated almost every single game. It wasn't like it was really close. They were the best team on the field almost every time they played. Belichick, of course, deserves some mention, bringing a rookie quarterback to the playoffs and bring in all those pieces, the small pieces that he paid a lot for that were people were like, Aguilar, he's not good. Kendrick Bourne, he's not good. Jonnu Smith, what has he ever done? Hunter Henry, he's old and injury prone. And then turning that into the number one defense in football, the Patriots were, as well as having a proficient offense that was able to move up and down the field with a rookie quarterback. He deserves some love as well. CJ, who would you go to?
I've liked Mike Vrabel for this just because of the combination of the injuries that he had to deal with and the position that he finished up. I think you would go with Matt LaFleur just because Matt LaFleur's kind of due.
Yeah,
he's been so good for all 3 years, and even though it's not a 3-year award, they're the number one seed in the NFL this year.
Yeah.
So,
do you almost feel? To me, he's done a great job, but I almost feel like he loses points because he has the easiest job in the NFL. You got Aaron Rodgers. He calls his own plays. The guy runs the team. What work do you have to do? It's like coaching Michael Jordan or LeBron James. Like,
I've seen some people talk about that. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, much better.
So to the people that say, oh, LaFleur's got Aaron Rodgers, they were 25-24 in the 3 years preceding Matt LaFleur.
Well, Mike McCarthy also sucks.
And they had Aaron Rodgers. So bad coaching doesn't matter if you've got good players. Good coaching still's got to make good players get the job done.
Yeah, I'll step in because Jake just left. Well, actually, Mac, what do you got to say?
I think Jake listed off quite a few coaches. I would have said Bill Belichick just because rookie quarterback, you have Jacoby Myers and Kendrick Bourne as your wide receivers with really unproven running backs to get second in the division, lead the division for most of the year. I think that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it was an amazing season. I honestly think all these guys that we bring up have great odds. My vote personally probably go to Mike Vrabel as well. Just I thought when they lost Derrick Henry, they were done. I thought they had no shot. I said they have not had a passing offense all year. They cannot run with Demetric Felton. And who was the other guy they had?
Dontrell Hilliard.
Yeah.
Hillard.
Yeah. I was like, it's not getting done. They just can't do it. You can't replace Derrick Henry, but they did. And they went on to win games anyways. Now, to be fair,
Did
they had a
replace him?
pretty easy schedule after Henry went down. They had maybe 2 or 3 tough games, but you have to win the games that you play. What's that? I didn't see what you said.
I did it on purpose. Continue.
Oh, okay. Other coaches will just mention that are in the talks that I don't really agree with deserve to be there. Are Andy Reid with Kansas City, I saw is like getting some headway, which I don't really see how that's possible. Mike McCarthy with Dallas. I just think how could Dallas not be good this year? Sean McVay, though, I do think deserves some discussion. Just what he's done as far as managing that team as well and bringing in Matt Stafford has just made that team so much better, even though Stafford led the league interceptions. Frank Reich and Nick Sirianni as well. I think Nick Sirianni, I say more so than Frank Reich. He brought an Eagles team that I feel like had no business being the playoffs. And Jalen Hurts, who's not a good quarterback, and they won despite it. So I think that Nick Sirianni deserves some kind of discussion. He shouldn't win it, but just honorable mention to those guys.
I think you listed 30 of the 32 coaches.
I said no more than 8 coaches.
Jake, just so you know, the Titans played the Bills, Chiefs, Colts, Rams, Saints, Patriots. They lost to the Patriots, obviously. 49ers, Steelers, Dolphins. So that wasn't easy.
That was all after they lost Derrick Henry.
Yeah, they lost them at week.
That's a tough schedule. Those are all good teams. A lot of those
all
teams
those were after they got hurt.
Didn't they play Texans like twice as well, and the Colts?
The Colts were
Colts
when they were good when they were
Colts
hot.
were-
We stopped their streak.
okay.
So
All right,
back
sure.
off.
All right, fine. I get to Vrabel anyways. I think
I didn't throw
Thank you.
a vote out there. I would throw it to Belichick for the reasons aforementioned.
awesome. Good discussions, guys. What a great show to start the year. This is going great. All right. Any other awards that we should mention?
Yeah, come back. I think that's the hardest one, actually. I really do think it's the hardest one.
So we got
I
Dak
think
Prescott and
Joe Burrow.
I go Joe Burrow. Easy.
If you look at their stats, they're almost
Identical.
parallel.
Yeah,
it's-
but
it's nuts. Let
Dak-
me just say.
All
Let me
right.
just say. All right, you ready for this?
Yes.
All right. Dak had 4,449 yards. Joe Burrow had 4,611 yards. Dak had 37 touchdowns. Burrow had 34 touchdowns. Dak threw 10 picks. Burrow threw 14 picks. They both had over 100 rush yards. Burrow had 2 rush touchdowns. Dak had 1 rush touchdown. I mean, it's like a mirror almost.
Yeah, it is. It's a closer than I would have expected. I feel like, though, to me, was Burrow not the reason they won their games more than Dak, though? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like Dak had so much around him that it was expected of him. You know what I mean? He was expected to come back and do that. Burrow, we didn't know what could happen. He came out and said, no, I'm one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and you're going to see it right here. And he won games for them. Now, Dak also had a lot of games that cost him. I'm not as familiar with Burrow's bad games. I'm sure they existed. But to me, I would give the edge to Burrow. I guess it is closer than I thought. I'd go Burrow.
I think it comes down to who they play for, and it's always going to go to the Dallas player. I think
That's
just
probably
because
true.
they're so close and it's a media thing. I would love and if Joe Burrow, Joe Burrow won it because I think he's better and he's younger and his injury was more significant as in later in the year.
Oh, I was gonna say, I was like, did you see Dak's ankle?
As in his was at the end of last year and he came back way early.
Yeah, that was impressive.
I think that I know Dak's ankle was like pretty bad, but I think Joe Burrow's injury was very I don't know. I think
They
his
both
was
were
more
awful.
significant.
The
They're both bad, but I just think coming back from what Joe Burrow came back, he basically tore every single ligament in his knee and came back and then put up this amazing season. We see a lot of guys where that injury ends their career and he came back. So I personally would love to see it go to Burrow. I don't think Dak is undeserving of it, but I'd like to see it go to Burrow.
Not at all. CJ, Mac?
I'd just like to mention Joe Mixon.
I really
Sorry,
should have said
sorry.
one person's name. That's my fault.
Go ahead, Mac.
I said I'd just like to mention Joe Mixon, but I'm sure it'll be Burrow or Dak.
Oh, Mixon.
Hello.
Comeback player? Wasn't he?
I don't know. Might have
I thought he was.
Yeah, he was hurt for most of the last year. I thought he got shut down towards the end of the year.
Yeah, he got injured in week 6 and was out the rest of the season.
Here's the comeback player of the year odds. Dax 1, Burrows 2, Nick Bosa's 3, Sam Darnold's. Nope, just kidding.
Nick Bosa was the name I was going to bring up as an honorable mention.
Christian McCaffrey, Saquon, and Carson Wentz were all on there too.
I don't understand why it would not be Mixon involved in there, especially over Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Like they both had
Yeah.
bad seasons. Mixon was a top 5 running
He's
back.
10th on the betting odds.
Yeah, that's bad to me. I just totally
I'd smash
disagree.
that.
Yeah. I mean, Mixon's not going to win it because those two exist.
Right.
I would definitely bet Mixon over CMC and Barkley for sure.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. 100%.
But I don't understand that. I mean, he was out for the last 12 weeks of the season. I don't get why he wouldn't be up higher on the list. He had a great season.
I don't know. Kind of weird.
It is weird. All right, James, what you got for us now?
All right. Now
Oh,
we're
CJ.
CJ
Wait, we
say?
skipped CJ.
Carl. We gotta get Carl Jinks. OC Carl.
Let's see, Carl.
I think it's pretty clearly Joe Burrow. One, because of on Burrow coming into the season. Dak had much higher expectations and he lived up to them, whereas Joe Burrow exceeded what anybody thought he and that team would do. And it's also based on Joe Burrow's performances this year. It looks like he got better despite the injury, whereas Dak his pace wasn't as great as it was last year. It was the same, but I don't know. I think Joe Burrow came back and got better. He should get it for that.
Makes some good points, CJ.
All right. Do you guys, let's see. We're at about 40 minutes right now. I think we could probably still get through the rest of this.
I think we could just do the round by round projections and then we'll do trivia.
Okay.
I think that'll
We
take
can save the other stuff for the end of the season next week. I still want to discuss most underrated and overrated player, teams we think will turn around, that kind of thing. I like that discussion, but we have the offseason to discuss that. So let's go ahead and move into our playoff predictions for this first round. I will go ahead and pull up the games. NFL wild card round, our schedule. All right. So Saturday, 3:30 p.m. we have the Raiders and the Bengals. Oh, we didn't discuss this game last week. The Raiders Chargers game. So much was on the line. It was.
What about the Bengals Chiefs game? I think that was just kidding. Mine isn't important. Sorry. It was just so exciting. I'm so excited about it.
It was so exciting. I was thrilled to see the Bengals beat the Chiefs. I never had any issues with the Chiefs before Patrick Mahomes came along. I don't hate Patrick Mahomes, but for some reason I hate the Chiefs now. I can't really
It's so
describe
much
it.
fun to see the big dog fall.
I know. I maybe this is how people felt about the Patriots for so long.
Maybe
I
do,
think
if you think it didn't
that's
feel
how
that
it
way.
feels. Okay. But I just love seeing the Chiefs lose. It's great. They think they're so great. You know what I mean? Anyways, yes, Bengals crushed them and I loved it.
Sorry.
But
Raiders, Chargers.
that Raiders Chargers game, I mean, everyone discussed the possibility that if the Colts lost, and who was the other team that had to lose?
That it was just the Colts had to lose, and then these two teams had a tie.
Was that it? I thought someone else had to lose too.
Nope.
Okay. Well, if the Colts lost and these two teams tied, the Steelers would get in. Oh, and the Steelers had
would
Not
have
get in.
the Steelers would not get in. That's right.
These two teams would have got in.
But they could both get in. We're like, oh, that'd be funny because then they could just decide to tie and just both guaranteed that they get in. It's not as straightforward as that though, because if you win, you're playing, or if you tie,
the 5 seed.
then you're the 5 seed and you're going up against. Or I
If
forget
you
what
win,
it was.
If you
the
win, you're the
Raiders-
5 seed.
If the Raiders had tied, they would have been going up against the Chiefs in the playoff round. But if they won, then they get to go up against the Bengals instead.
Yep.
Which I know that the Bengals are hot, but I'd rather go up against the less experienced team in the playoffs. So I'd rather go against the Bengals. So that's kind of why I think the Raiders kind of decided, let's just win this game and decide our own fate instead of just leave it up to random chance. But they were guaranteed to win. It looked up. Were they up by 15? Yeah, up 15 with like 4 minutes to go.
They were up by a lot.
And Justin Herbert just starts pulling out miracles out of his wazoo, man. It was crazy. How many 4th and 10 or 4th and 14 plays?
Six.
You say, was there 6 4th and 4s in those last two drives?
He was 6 for 6 on
Oh,
4th down with 106 yards and a touchdown.
I mean, that you cannot be more
Wow.
clutch than that. You cannot be more clutch than that. It was insane. And the passes were like not easy, wide open guys. He was throwing missiles right into the chests of his players. And I was like, there's no way you're catching that ball and throw it at me. That's coming too hot. It was
Going
just
through
insane.
my chest.
Yeah, it was insane. It was one of the most entertaining games I have ever seen. And for them to get, I said, when they first scored that first touchdown, I said, they got to go for 2 right here. You have to go for 2 and decide that way, if you need to kick a field goal or go for 2 later. And they got the 2-point conversion to Eckler. And I was like, oh, here we go. Down 7. Sure enough, get the ball back. And it looked like they had no shot. I mean, they kept getting penalties when they were right at the doorstep of first down. And then 3rd and 12, don't get it. 4th and 12, there's no way to do it again. And they do it again. They tie it up and they go into overtime. And at this point, I'm like, the tie is seriously a possibility. This could actually happen where they tie. And the ball goes to the Raiders. It said, if there's a team that's getting into the end zone, it's the Chargers. So this could 100% be a field goal tie. And sure enough, Raiders, field goal. Chargers, field goal. And there's there's 4 minutes left. What do the Raiders do? Do they push it and try to get a score and risk turning the ball over and getting the ball back to the Chargers, or just run this clock out and take the tie, get into the playoffs? It looked like that's what they were doing, right? I mean, that's what I thought they were trying to do.
They were trying to get down the field.
I mean, yeah, they didn't really pass the ball, though. They
ran. I mean, Jacobs just kept running over everybody.
Josh Jacobs is the reason that they won that game.
He had a 30-yard run and a 20-yard run. It was
back to back.
Yep.
It's like, well, then now we really are going to go for it.
We just need 20 more yards and we're in field goal range. I don't understand what Ryan Staley was thinking, though. They get down the field. It's 2nd and 5 on the 50. And the clock's going down and the Raiders are taking their time. And he calls a timeout. What do your guys? There's a lot of theories that have gone out there. Do you guys have any theories on why he did that?
Can we table this and get through the rest of the stuff?
Can we finish the discussion? No, we're gonna finish this discussion.
I don't.
You don't have to talk, Mitch. All right. So why do you guys think he decided to do that with the timeout?
I think he wanted to try to get the ball back and try to win it.
You think that's what it was?
I mean, it has to be that. There's no
you
other
think he was happy with the tie?
Obviously not.
Some people have thought that they thought that they had the wrong defense on the field. He wanted to make sure that they had the defense on there to stop the run. I don't know. Either way, it looked like Derek Carr said after the game that it 100% changed. They were going just to let it be a tie. And then when he did that, they said, all right, fine, we'll win this game. So it was crazy. I couldn't believe that happened.
I don't know that those were his words. All I saw is that he said it changed their mindset.
Yeah.
Did you see the guy that talked to Austin Eckler after the game?
Mm-mm. Yeah, I saw that too.
He came up to him. It's like
some of that stuff I feel like is easier to say in hindsight and say,
it was the long snapper. He would know.
I know. I don't know.
What would he say, James? I'm not familiar.
He said
he told Austin Eckler that they were going to run the clock out until he called a timeout, and they decided to go for it.
I don't understand why calling a timeout, you'd be like, okay, now we're going to go for it. And it's like,
because it stops the clock.
Why not just keep running the clock out, run a play, knee it? I mean, if you're going to, I don't understand if your goal is to run the clock out, you could have run the clock out long before then. So to me, I'm kind of like, were you really trying to run the clock out or were you trying to get a last second field goal?
Yeah. Well,
personally,
either way it happened. Oh, go ahead.
I was just say, why are you going to run plays designed where your running back can run for 30 to 20 yards and then be like, oh yeah, we actually weren't going to try and score, but we were trying to move up the field. I don't know. Yeah. I think it's weird. It's hard. I don't understand how a timeout can say, now we're going to try and win the game.
It is weird
with 38 seconds left. But I mean, I understand why people are ticked about it.
You also have to think that, in the game, you don't really have, you don't have 15 seconds to think of something, but you get a timeout, you really think about it. Mm-hmm. I think
that's true.
I mean, I don't know if that's, I am a coach, but
yeah, it's fun to digest because we can only think, what were they thinking and why did this happen? But Dylan Carlson, he's never missed in that stadium and it continued. He just came up clutch and won the game. It was awesome.
I will say that might be one of the most entertaining games I will see for a very long time.
I mean, we had 2 of the most entertaining games, the Bengals Chiefs game as well. And then that game. And it was just awesome. Great final week.
The Niners Rams game was actually pretty nuts too. And there was a lot on the line for the Niners in that one. Not so much the Rams because they were already in the playoffs, but their seeding, they gave up the 2 seed.
Yeah.
That loss. And
that's big.
That was another overtime win for the Niners.
Mm-hmm. All right. Sorry, Mitch, to belabor the topic, but we can move on.
Jumped in the conversation, was all up into it.
Let's go ahead and move on to our predictions. So Raiders at the Bengals. I have a hard time not picking the Bengals. You guys?
I picked the Bengals. I don't think the Raiders should even be in the playoffs, but they got in.
The Raiders should be in the playoffs either.
The Bengals have not had a playoff win in 91 years, or is that? No, it's not that big.
What?
60 something years. I think it's
Yeah, I'll look it
60
up. Keep talking.
I think it's
I don't think
61.
I think no, it's like since 1990.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
maybe,
it's-
maybe it was since.
1991.
Oh, that's what it
1991.
was. I knew 91 was in my head for a reason. 1991. Yeah, I was gonna say 91 years. NFL's
Yeah,
like
91 years.
old.
I can see how that's confusing.
It just 91 came in my head, and I was thinking of it
30
that way.
years, 91 years.
Back in 1930. All right. So yeah, are we in agreement? Are anyone picking the Raiders here?
Mac,
Nope.
you alive?
I'm very much
Yes.
alive. I pick Bengals.
All right.
Actually,
Saturday.
Bengals could make it all the way.
It's possible. They are the hottest team.
Hey,
Saturday.
somebody want to record this? So see how we did. Mac.
Yeah, Mac, it's your job.
Type it up.
Dude's in bed already.
Saturday, January 15th, Patriots at the Bills. They split the season. I don't like seeing the third matchup of the season. I don't like when divisional teams play each other in playoffs. I find them to be unentertaining games usually. They know each other so well. It's probably gonna be pretty low scoring. Bills have a better quarterback. The Bills have a better team outside of the defense. I know the Patriots are a great defense. I'm going with the Bills at home here. I think that they're just a better team. I think they can win this game.
You don't think the rookie of the year candidate's gonna lead their team to victory?
The
I don't
Bills.
think
I got the Bills.
Yeah, I think Bills win this game. I think it'll be closer than probably.
What's
I think
do we know what
spread?
the weather? What's the weather for that game?
it's going to be cold. It's in
They
Buffalo.
live. It's they're both in,
Mm.
live right near each other. So
I know, but the last, I mean, one of the last times they played, it was like 80-mile-an-hour winds. And that very much affected the game.
that was the worst game I think I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Is it supposed to be really windy again? Do we know?
10 degrees, no snow. The wind is going to be 11 miles per hour.
It's not
I mean, weather
okay.
definitely favors the Patriots, but I think the offense for the Bills is better.
I don't know. Buffalo's pretty cold.
Favorite
CJ?
Patriots.
I think unless the wind changes, it's going to be the Bills. If it's still running, it'll be the Patriots.
Yeah. The reason I say weather favors the Patriots is because they're a better running team.
I
And if
see.
Josh Allen can't pass the ball,
Yeah,
then I think-
elaborate a little more when you say stuff like that. You can't be throwing it out like that.
sorry, Mac, Bills or Patriots?
My heart says Patriots, but my mind says Bills.
What are you going to go with?
Hard
The
as
Bills.
All right. We're all taking the
Easy.
smart picks here. Eagles Bucks. Now this is a game I think is going to be closer than people predict. The Bucks are beleaguered. They almost lost the Jets. They're injured. They don't have Godwin or Antonio Brown. Apparently is kind of retired. Is he? I don't know. And their defense isn't great. So I think the Eagles contend here. I don't know who to pick here. What do you guys say?
I'm gonna not pick the Buccaneers.
I don't know how you could not take the Bucks here.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
Tom Brady is gonna.
I'll do it. Eagles.
I mean,
got-
it
you
could be a
gotta-
trap game
Could be.
because the Eagles can be. They could pop off for 500 points because Jalen Hurts can run around everybody.
Mhm.
I know, crazy,
That's nuts.
but
Yeah.
I don't think so.
CJ.
I think
Oh, go ahead, Mitch.
no, go CJ. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the Eagles have had their like offensive revival through running the ball, and for most of the season, that was the Bucks was defending against the run.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think that they're just good at stopping what Philadelphia does on offense, and their offense, even without Chris Godwin, is amazing. I think Leonard Fournette's supposed to come back too.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really see how this is super close.
I do.
I don't know.
Mitch.
I would not be surprised if the Eagles actually were winning at halftime or something like that.
Mhm.
But I do think the Bucks will win.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. If I were to make a bold prediction, it's that Tom Brady makes a last minute drive, maybe not to seal it on like the last play of the game, but just a drive near the end of the game that either gives them the lead or, gives them the win that's insurmountable. So I think the Bucks win this game. I think it's close. My predict is Eagles cover.
I think Eagles win. Miles Sanders gets 3 rushing touchdowns.
James.
Wow.
Bold.
I was just gonna. I just had a. Can you just go through the AFC and then the NFC instead of doing this by schedule,
Oh, sure. We can do that.
just so we'll remember who we picked. I
The
know
next-
we kind of know, but
The next game we have is Steelers at the Chiefs. I mean, let's not even waste time on this. The Chiefs are winning this game.
Chiefs.
Yeah.
I saw this thing that was like, I'm so mad that the Chargers and Raiders ended in a tie because now we have to watch
And
and throw 5-yard milk jugs instead of Herbert throw 60-yard missiles.
yeah, I would have loved to have seen even
Chiefs?
a Raiders Chiefs
Chargers?
matchup. Chargers would have gotten the tiebreaker over the Raiders. Someone
Smack
smoke
down?
alarm is on. No, the Chargers would have gotten the tiebreaker, so they would have been playing the Bengals and the Raiders would be playing the Chiefs. But yeah, I just wish we don't have to see the Steelers in the playoffs. That's not going to be fun. The Chiefs should win this game by 20 plus.
But they made it.
I'm glad for Big Ben's sake. It's his last year. It's nice to at least have made it in the playoffs.
Is it?
Yeah, it better be.
No, he already said he's retiring.
5-yard
I'm
milk
just being dumb.
jugs.
All right, moving on. That's all of the AFC. We have 2 games left here. So the Niners and the
These are
Cowboys
2 hard games.
are going to be tough. These 2 teams, they're playing in Dallas, which is the reason I'm picking the Cowboys. If this was in San Francisco, I may be more inclined. I might still pick Dallas, but I think that does give them a little bit of an edge. And I do think they're a better overall team with a better quarterback. And when I see 2 close teams that are evenly matched or close to evenly matched, I'm going to go with the home team with the better quarterback. So I go Cowboys.
I think it's a very close game. I'm going to pick the Niners because I'm a Niners fan.
Gotta stay true to your colors.
So I'm not going to pick the Cowboys. I think the Niners are really hitting their stride. So the Niners team that's going to face the Cowboys, I think is going to be the best Niner team we've seen all year. And for that reason, I'm going to pick the Niners.
Yeah, I don't mind that outcome. James?
I'm going to pick the Cowboys. I think the Niners will give them a lot of problems, but just being at home, having just all around offense and defense all around, I think they have a better roster, and I think they win. I think it'll be
CJ?
very, very close though.
Yeah.
I think the Niners. I think Kyle Shanahan's a better coach,
I agree.
and he'll have them ready. And then the Cowboys have been a little inconsistent towards the end of the year.
They
I can
have.
see them throwing up a dud
Yeah,
on
if
offense.
if Nick Bosa is getting a Dak Prescott, I could definitely see him struggling. And Zeke has not looked great this year. I mean, I know he's been number 6 running back in fantasy football, but he definitely isn't the player he once was. He's had a lot of touchdowns in the end zone. But I think that the way you're thinking could line up to be a Niners win. I still pick Cowboys, but I like the way you
Although-
think, CJ.
The Cowboys have won 6 of their last 7.
Yeah,
So
but it's been shaky. Mac?
no, it hasn't. Not at all.
Have they been blowing
won-
people out?
Yes. They beat the Giants by 22. They beat the Panthers by 12. They beat the Eagles by 21.
Yeah, that game,
Did-
but wasn't that the last game of the year? Or no, they blew them out both times, but the last one didn't matter.
The last game of the year, they lost to the Buccaneers by 2. So there's that.
But the last time they
No.
played the Eagles, the seedings were already determined, right?
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I might be reading this whole thing completely wrong. I am. I read it upside down.
Yeah.
But they still were 6-5 of the last 6.
Mhm.
Continue.
Mac, who you got?
I'll say the 49ers. I think besides quarterback, we were better in every other situation. So
You
So
think
this is the first one we
you think
disagree on.
your receivers are better than the Cowboys?
I think
I
Debo
do.
is the most dynamic wide receiver threat on the field, but
I
then I
agree with
think CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup are better. than
And,
most wide
and
receivers.
Wilson, Cedric Wilson is solid too.
No,
I would
I
rather
think-
have.
I think
I'd rather
Ayuk
have.
is better.
I'd rather have George Kittle, Ayuk, and Debo Samuel. And somebody earlier, I think it was CJ. And I'm not going to
Homer
take offense to
Simpson?
CJ. I just want to clear it up. Ayuk has been inconsistent, but it's not Ayuk's fault. It's his coach's fault.
Well, yes or
he-
no. Yes and no. Yeah, Ayuk
No,
gave his
there have been
coach reasons.
several clips and replays after games where Ayuk is wide open down the
Yeah, I
field,
saw
and
that.
Jimmy and Kyle just can't get him the ball. So I think part of it is he's being blackballed. But
Blue ball.
Fair enough.
A lot of colors.
whatever the words are.
Oh, you're open.
I don't know that I would even argue. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just because the way the offense is run, but Dalton Schultz blew George Kittle out of the water this year.
He did.
So I don't know that you can really argue that Kittle's better. At least
I think we still have to go 49ers because 3 people said 49ers as a group.
well, I'm not, but
I'm not either, but
Also,
a
Niner
group.
fans travel well.
because we have to do the next round. So
Yeah.
are we just going to do one round or you want to do all the round?
we'll just
We've
do
been
one
doing
round. We
forever.
could do the next
Yeah, I
round
like
next
it.
week.
I like
That
it.
means we
Um,
have to meet next week.
We'll meet next week. But
We got to.
did you say Niners fans travel well?
Who said that?
Mac
Matt
did.
did.
Do you know who they're playing against?
The
The
biggest team in
freaking
football.
Cowboys, America's team.
All right.
Did you
All right,
guys
when-
know that the
When you see
last
that
time?
stadium littered in red, then
Oh my
I
gosh!
expect to
Get
text
out of here! Get
Did you
out
guys
of here!
know? Mac is not wrong. I'm not saying the Niners travel well, but there will definitely be more Cowboys. Did you guys see that the last time the Niners and the Cowboys played in the playoffs, it was one of the most star-studded games in the NFL with 21 Pro Bowlers and 10 future Hall of Famers.
Oh, wow.
The
Wow.
receiving
That's why you're on the
leader,
show. You bring the facts.
the receiving leader on the year and the rushing leader on the year both
So,
played in that game. The
Jerry
Cowboys
Rice
won in 90, I believe it was 96. It might be 95.
So Jerry Rice, Joe Montana, Emmett Smith. Who else am I missing?
And then the Cowboys.
Michael Irvin.
And the Cowboys.
All
right.
But that was a crazy game. So for longtime Niners fans, this is a very heated rivalry. For those of us born in the last 20 years, we don't feel that as much. But for people who really we're really in, football in the 80s and 90s, this is actually a deep running rivalry. So I'm expecting this game to be pretty nasty.
Mitch, that might be the best minute you've ever brought to the show. That was solid stuff.
I don't
I
know.
like
I
it.
thought the time I called you
Not-
out for being stupid was pretty good.
Called what?
Not
My
as,
favorite.
not
What'd
as
you
good
say?
as Taylor Heineke being a top 10 quarterback, but this is good.
Eric said that. I will leave. I will quit right now.
I can't wait till he listens to the show.
Oh no. All right. So Cardinals, Rams. This is the
Mhm.
hardest game for me.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's start with CJ. Who you got, Siege? Oh, you are frozen.
The goofy smile.
If you are not watching on YouTube, go to the Swing Bunt podcast on YouTube right now and go look at CJ Jones's face. It is glorious. You're such a happy boy. Oh my goodness.
All right, moving on. Next
Moving on.
person.
CJ, when you come back on, go ahead and give us your comments, please. Mac, what you? Oh, you're here,
Oh, there
CJ.
it is, there it is.
You're still frozen.
All right, CJ, who you got? Rams, Cardinals.
Oh, he left.
Oh, okay. Mac, who you got? Rams, Cardinals.
I'll go Rams. Cardinals have actually not looked good, especially with Hopkins out. So I'll go Rams.
Yeah, they've been an inconsistent team for sure. Mitch.
I think this is going to be a very close game. I also think the Rams are going to have the edge, because this is at SoFi, right?
Yeah, but the Rams have no fans. Or
I think-
no, I'm sorry. The Chargers had no fans.
Charge.
Yeah.
They have 10 actually. I'm one of them. I think a home game, and I honestly think the Rams are on a mission right now. It sucks to lose your last regular season game, and in the way that they lost it, I think they are going to be ticked. And I think we're going to see Cooper Kupp go crazy unless Buda Baker is covering him.
They'll throw back to season 2.
So
I'll take
Rams.
Buda
I'm
Baker.
saying
I'll
Rams.
play your team first.
All right, CJ, you back on?
I am back.
Rams are hosting the Cardinals.
I think the Rams. I think they just have a better roster, better offense, better defense. I don't know. It's
I
just
mean,
that.
you have Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, and
Cooper
is the guy from the Broncos? I forget his name all of a sudden.
Oh,
Von Miller?
Is
Von
he
Miller.
playing or?
Yeah, no, he's playing.
Yeah, I mean,
He sacked Jimmy Garoppolo last week.
but
their defense is
playing?
definitely better than the Cardinals defense, which
He's on
is
the
not,
field.
It's not bad. This game really, to me, hinges on Matt Stafford. Is he going to be the Matt Stafford that we saw in the beginning of the season, where he was just slinging the ball all over the place, or the guy we've seen lately that throws 3 picks a game? I mean, if he's going to be throwing interceptions to the Cardinals are going to capitalize on those, and they're going to turn them into touchdowns. So he's got to play cleaner football. If he goes out and throws picks, they're going to lose this game. I predict that he's going to finally get his first playoff win, and take this team to the NFC Championship is my prediction. And I think that the Rams win this game. I think it's very close. This is the game I'm looking forward to the most. This should be a lot of fun. Should be really exciting. Whoever wins this game, I think, plays the Packers in the NFC Championship is my prediction. Although if the Cardinals win, they might actually play the Packers next, depending on who
they
wins.
reseed.
They do reseed in the NFL. All right, James. So we're all unanimous Rams so far. You gonna buck the trend?
I am.
All right.
I
Give me
think
a
the
reason why.
Cardinals are gonna, I think Kyler Murray I don't think they've been pushing him super hard because he's been kind of hurt. And I feel like he's had a break this week. They just didn't push him really hard. And I think in the playoffs, he's just going to light it up. It doesn't matter. I bet Christian Kirk has a monster game. And then their tight end, I just forgot his name.
Zach Ertz.
Zach Ertz. Yeah, I think he has a monster game. James Conner's been a top 5 running back in the
Well,
league
now
this year.
Edmonds is back too.
And so that's a change of pace back. And they both have pretty good defenses. I mean, Cardinals is not the best, but They have Buda Baker, so they're good.
Yes.
I just think Kyler Murray's ability to play make is going to be the difference in the game. I think they win because of that.
I mean, I could easily see this game going 40 plus points each team.
Yeah. Which would be awesome.
I think this is going to be a super close game. I'm really not sure who I want to win. But let's hear it for the NFC West.
Yeah. 3 teams in the NFC West and all 3 of them solid contenders. It's impressive. That's why it's called the NFC Best.
Yes.
For that reason alone. All right, guys. You got trivia for us, right, James?
I sure do.
I've been looking forward to this. It's been a long time since we've had some trivia.
All right, we're gonna do this based. I mean, it's NFL, so we're gonna do it based off stats, and I'm gonna throw you some random stuff out there. I hope y'all are ready.
I love NFL trivia.
All right, we'll start off with something pretty easy, and this is based off the 2021 season.
Oh,
All right, Tom Brady was number 1 in passing yards. Justin Herbert was number 2. Who was number 3? You got to raise your hand, and I will call on you. Mac, you're out of luck.
Dang it.
Oh, it's whoever's first.
Yeah, we'll
I
start.
can actually raise my
I'll
hand.
say go.
in
I'll
the
say
chat.
go. Mitch,
I believe it's Matthew Stafford.
is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
All right, Mitch is correct. He has 4,000. 2 people went over 5,000 yards. Herbert and Brady. Mahomes was 4th, and Derek Carr was 5th. All right.
Where's Joe Burrow?
What?
Where was Joe Burrow?
I think he was 6th or 7th.
He was 6th.
Interesting.
But
Right.
he was like 10th
I should have asked that question.
3 weeks
Until
ago.
last week.
He
had
Then he threw 1,000 yards in 2 games.
2 games, 500 plus yards.
Okay,
Oh.
I'm going to ask 2 players for rushing stats. All right. First is obviously Jonathan Taylor. Who
Jonathan Taylor.
was
Oh.
second?
For rushing yards,
All right, Mac.
What is Leonard Fournette?
What is? You are incorrect. Jake.
Joe Mixon.
That is incorrect. All right. So CJ and Mitch, get a guess.
just give me a second.
You got 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3. Yes.
Who is Dalvin Cook?
That is incorrect. CJ.
Oof.
Oh, I know who it is.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's your guess?
I'll go Austin Eckler. I don't think it's him though.
Can
What
I
do you
get?
think it is, Mitch?
I think it's Najee Harris.
Nope. It is Nick Chubb.
Oh.
Dang
Wow.
it! I thought about him.
Did not know he had that good of a season.
Didn't know he had that
Yeah.
many rushing
He
yards.
always gets rushing yards. He just doesn't get touchdowns because
All right. Third is Joe Mixon. 4th is Najee Harris. 5th is Dalvin Cook. Who is 6th? Now, he said the last one was hard.
Did you
Boy,
say
oh
it?
boy.
Top 5 again.
1 Taylor, 2 Chubb, 3 Mixon, 4 Harris, 5 Cook. Who is 6th?
All right, I'll go first.
All right.
My hand's up.
Derek
All
Henry.
right, Mac, go ahead.
What is Leonard Fournette?
Leonard Fournette is not top 12.
Dang it.
Rushing yards.
Yeah.
I understand the question.
Derek Henry.
Derrick Henry is 9th.
6th.
CJ Mitch again. Now, I said it's hard, so you got to think hard. But you got 5 seconds.
Is it
5.
Oh, I'm thinking easy.
James Conner.
James Conner is not top 12.
No, he had just the only reason he did so well in fantasy is his touchdowns. He didn't have a lot of yardage.
He was 27th.
Oh, sorry. Can you tell me the top 5 again?
Taylor, Chubb, Mixon, Harris, Cook.
Oh, I think I know.
Just give me one more second here. I don't know.
Just say names.
Austin Eckler.
Can I take a guess?
It's not Austin
Tony
Eckler.
Pollard.
It is Antonio Gibson.
Oh,
Hit 1,037 yards. No,
wow. It's a good season for him.
All right.
Oh,
We didn't
Scored
score
any touchdowns, though.
Receiving yards. Okay.
Most.
Number 1 is Cooper Kupp. 2 is Justin Jefferson. 3 is Devontae Adams. 4 is Jamar Chase. 5 is Debo Samuel.
Knew
Who
that.
is number 6?
Does it have to be a receiver?
Receiving yards.
Okay.
Yes.
Travis Kelsey.
All right. You are incorrect. Travis Kelce is not top 12.
You can
Yes.
just say he's 13th.
Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews is the 6th leading receiver in all of the NFL. I'm not saying I called him out earlier. I gave his shout out.
Mitch, would you have thought of him if I didn't say Kelsey?
No.
No, dang it.
Actually, I might have thought of him. I thought of him. I was thinking tight ends when you said, does it have to be a receiver?
Right.
And James said receiving yards. So I was like, it's probably a tight end.
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't Kelsey though. He had
All right.
kind of a down year as a tight end too.
If you guess the team for this player who had the least amount of receiving yards, which is -4 this year, if you get the
Negative
we'll say
4 is the
team.
fewest. There's not a running back who had like one rush for less than that.
This is receiving.
Oh, okay. Oh, I know
feel
this.
I feel like
I don't think I would just guess a team if I were you. Everyone gets a team. Go, Mac.
Why am I always first?
All right, sorry. Mitch is winning, so Mitch go first. Mitch has 2 points.
guess the team.
Yep.
I don't know. Chiefs.
All right. Jake.
Jets.
All right. CJ.
The Giants.
Mac.
It's gonna be a
Ravens.
good team. It's gonna be a
Huh?
good team.
The Ravens.
All right. The answer is Aaron Rodgers with -4 receiving yards.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't know he kind of passed.
Wasn't there a rookie that came in and had like one catch in his first game and it was for negative yardage?
I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people who have negative receiving yards.
Are any of them rookies? I feel like that happened.
I don't know. Deontay Spencer, Mike
like a rookie.
Remmers, which is an offensive
Oh,
tackle,
He's a rookie.
and then Taylor Heineke, and then
He
Larry
sounds like-
Roundtree.
Oh,
How's
you know
that?
what? I think Elijah Mitchell's first game, he had one catch for negative yards.
All right, moving on.
The guy in the Jets.
Yeah.
No, the Patriots.
All right. Who is leading the NFL in interceptions?
Elijah Mitchell. Elijah Moore's. I'm
Mitch?
sorry, what was the question?
Mitch. He was
I'm
talking.
gonna say Trevon Diggs.
That is correct. How many did he have? I'll
Yeah.
give you 3 points if someone can tell me how many he has. Yes, Jake.
11.
All right. That's tied 3-3.
Yeah.
Douchebag.
All right. Final question. This
Is
is
this
a
worth 3 points?
No, the
this
last
is
one was
worth
worth
5 points.
I was correct.
I hate
Elijah
these
Moore.
stupid trivia games.
Elijah Moore's first game, he had one catch for negative 3 yards.
Uh,
All right. So it's a 2-part question. All right. You have to get both of them to get all 5. All right. Which team had the biggest home attendance this year, and which team had the least amount? We'll start with Mitch first.
The most attendance is gonna be, I don't know, the Packers.
All right. What about least?
That's wrong. That's wrong. Never mind. I'm gonna stay with it. Least attendance. I'll say pick a bad team here. You know what? Screw it. I'll say the Chargers since everyone says they have no fans.
Jake.
I'll go most Cowboys, least Texans.
Mac.
Those are 2 very good guesses.
Is it most by number or most by like capacity filled, like a percentage?
Number.
Okay. Well, some stadiums are smaller, so I feel like that's not really fair. But
There
I'll
are
go
some teams that only play 8 home games as opposed to 9 too.
Oh, that's
okay.
Oh, I thought it was a per game average.
Nope.
Not just, oh yeah.
It's gonna be
Oh.
the same answer anyways. It's the same answer anyways.
Okay.
Well, I'd actually like to
most-
change my answer.
Too bad.
Most Bengals, least Dolphins.
TJ.
Rip Brian Flores.
most Bills, least. I'll go Jaguars.
Jaguars
All
had
right.
Trevor Lawrence.
No one got the least. The least with 412,000 people is the Detroit Lions.
Oh, wow.
Oh, duh.
New coach. You would think they'd get some more.
San Francisco's 26.
Wow.
They
Small
travel well
stadium.
though. Remember they
Small
travel well.
stadium. They do. Every single one of their fans goes to the games.
Yeah, and everyone knows our stadium's hex. So
Green Bay was
Stadium
7th.
Mm.
The Jets were 4th.
Wow.
Mm.
The Jets do love their football. It's
I
crazy.
feel like you should get penalized for thinking they were the least.
All right, here's the crazy thing. The number 1 team only had 8 home games, and they still were 60,000 ahead of everyone else, and that is the Dallas Cowboys. So-
Said the Cowboys.
Sorry.
Your
Not
first
like I-
winner
Liquids.
of the season
Hello.
4 of the Swinging Bunt Trivia Contest is Jake Vossen. I know you guys
You
are
have it
very-
next week. I'm not doing it again.
It's like when the
Freaking
Patriots win a Super Bowl.
No one likes it.
Actually, nothing like that.
People think
Unless
it's
they
rigged.
said
because
Okay.
it always happens.
Patriots on your next touchdown will give you 48 points.
Why did you sound like Trump there?
Then you have a case.
I know we had Donald Trump on the show today.
Mitch, that last question could have been 1 point. I still would have won.
Nope. Wrong.
Incorrect.
All right. All right, guys. This
Right.
has been the Swing Bump Podcast. Next week, you can expect a little bit more playoff talk. We'll probably dive into some more of the offseason things that have happened, like firing of coaches, who we think might get hired to replace them, and the such baseball offseason is going on. We'll definitely dive into the NBA season next week as well. Wes will be back from his honeymoon. Everyone, make sure you find at Winchester Wes on Twitter and congratulate him for his recent marriage this past weekend that CJ
Just violate HIPAA laws by saying that.
myself no it's public knowledge and James were at this past weekend. A lot of fun. It's good to see those guys. But yeah, congrats to Wes on the wedding.
Yeah,
Congrats.
Mitch, you weren't there.
Anyways, this has been the Swinging Bunt Podcast. We'll catch you guys next week.